Ooh.
Hello, YouTube, and welcome to Thrash or Be Thrashed, the first episode. Today, I have two special guests in the studio. I have Clint Cthulhu. You want to say hello, Clint, to YouTube?
Hey, what's up, guys? I hope y'all enjoy the video. I hope everybody's doing good.
And we also have Metal Connection.
What up? Canada represent.
We got our first. Hello, Mike. Welcome to the chat. Yeah, so today, our guests and myself, we are going to be talking about bands from our Pacific country. So, like, I'm from Australia, Clint's from America, and J-Dub is from Canada. We're going to show 10 albums from our representation in our countries. So, Clint, if you want to go first, show your first two. And
All right. My first two I'll be showing, I guess I will be talking about. This is a really good death metal band to start us off with. Is Cannibal Corpse's Gallery of Suicide. And, if you don't know who they are, they were pretty much what started this modern sound in death metal, the low gutturals, and that was the first album with George Corpsegrinder as their vocalist. Fuck Chris Barnes.
That was the second. Was that the second one with Corpsegrinder, wasn't it?
Yeah, Vile was.
Yeah.
Technically, yeah. Technically, but it's my favorite Cannibal Corpse album. Thought it'd be a good, strong representation as the first one. And the second one we all know and love is Lamb of God, Sacrament. And it was a toss-up between Sacrament or Wrath I wanted to show. But, yeah, represent, Philadelphia-based / hardcore American metal, whatever you want to call them, thrash. They're a little bit of everything.
yeah,
Those two I want to show off. Anything y'all want to say about either one of those?
yeah.
I remember when Sacrament came out, and I was just so hyped for it to hear it because Ashes of the Wake was so freaking good. I was like, okay, what's this band gonna do next? And then when Sacrament came out, and I finally heard, I would have heard a single release, like a music video release, but then when the album actually came out, the sound and production was so much different than Ashes of the Wake. I was like, oh man, this is something a little bit different. And they tried a little bit of different stuff, but it was still super heavy. Fuck, that album is so unique. Even now, I listened to it actually just recently, and that album is super unique. The production, the mix, the vibe of it is a little bit different than Ashes of the Wake, but it's still Lamb of God. So they definitely touched on their sound.
Yeah, I agree. When I heard that album, that's the only Lamb of God album I have in my collection is Sacrament. Because I saw the lead off video of that, and I thought, wow, this band is thrashy. This is stuff that I like. It was heavy, and Blythe's vocals were just there. I saw that hardcore meets metal vocals. They were so raw and brutal.
You definitely need to have more in your collection, Frederick. You definitely need to get more in the future.
Yeah, I know. I do. I think their last album wasn't very good. I heard it wasn't.
The self-title, it was okay. It's definitely, I would say, to me personally, it is definitely their weakest album. But you're going to replace Chris Adler, and it does leave a hole.
Yeah. Oh, Adler on drums was it was good on the drums with Lamb of God, I have to admit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good that Megadeth sort of hired him for a bit to play drums on the last album because he fits the style.
Yeah.
Those are good two choices. Jamie?
Yeah, I would just say before I pick mine two that if I had to do Lamb of God, I'd probably do Ashes of the Wake. Ashes of the Wake is just you can't really get better than Ashes of the Wake. But that's why I was so hyped for Sacrament, because I'm like, a band's, you're never going to top this. It's like Master of Puppets, Ride the Lightning. It's like, you know, when you're listening to it, this is pretty much the best that the band is ever going to do. And how, like, where can you go from there? Like, but when they came out and they, you know, the sound was different, the production was a little bit different, some of the songs were a little bit different. They tried some new stuff, but it was still not like, wasn't as good, but pretty much as good, which was a telltale sign for me that Lamb of God was going to be around for a long time.
Yeah,
Rather than also just ride on the Ashes of the Wake and then, you know, do what Metallica did, right? You know, put out subpar albums after. But this band just like they were doing slightly different stuff, but relatively they touched on that Lamb of God sound and just kept pumping out these amazing albums one after the other.
Weren't they originally a hardcore band back in the day? Were they more hardcore back in the day?
With the Burn the Priest album, there was some hardcore elements, but I would say it's a mix between hardcore and black metal.
Okay, yeah, because I know Sacrament is a lot more. Hey, Ryan, you know, for me, Lamb of God, their Sacrament album, I would call a thrash metal record.
I mean, I love Randy's voice. He has a very, very unique style on his voice.
Oh, he does, yeah. Oh, cool.
Okay, so I wouldn't necessarily say like the 10 I picked are like my top 10 Canadian albums of all time. It's kind of just what I've chose for today. Again, if we were to do this 2 weeks, a month down the road, it may be different. I may switch it up and do other stuff. But for today is what I picked. But I actually wanted to pick Serenity and Fire, but I lost Serenity and Fire, so I'm just going to show this Cataclysm in the Arms of Devastation. Either or. It's either this Cataclysm, it's either In the Arms of Devastation or Serenity and Fire. I probably like Serenity and Fire better, just because it is kind of a little more simpler, but those blast beats are just so freaking fun on Serenity and Fire. It's like, how could you not like it? They're just so freaking fun and kind of like addicting, right? Just like, and this one's a little bit more faster and aggressive, a little bit more like technical, I'd say. But, you know, Cataclysm's here with that death metal. I think Cataclysm is probably Canada's biggest death metal band, other than Cryptopsy, I'd say. But I think that Cataclysm is actually was probably putting out albums more consistently and was a band kind of more consistently than. So I think they're probably a little bit more popular at this point, like around the world. So, but either way, I like Cataclysm much more than Cryptopsy anyway. So I had to get some Cataclysm on this list. And yeah, I don't know. I bought Serenity and Fire when it came out, I think 2004, I think that album is. I don't know, Clint, do you remember the year in Serenity and Fire?
That sounds about right. That really, 2004 sounds about right, because I think that one came out in 2006 or 7.
Yeah, and I had CDs in my car and things like that. I don't know. I lost it in one of my cars, and I've never rebought it since. I've been too stubborn. It's one of those things like, I lost it. I've already paid for it once in my life, and now I'm too stubborn to pay for it again, even though it's kind of biting me in my ass because I love that album.
All right, Jamie. Funny thing you mentioned that. In the Arms of Devastation, I have at least bought it 6 times. And I love that album. That is in my top 10 albums of all time. I hold that album really close to my heart. That album has kept me from suicide multiple times.
Haha, so Canada wins this one.
But I mean, I'll be honest, that album I really hold close. Phenomenal album.
Oh, for sure, yeah. Let Them Burn Again, Crippled and Broken. That's just like anthem right there. To Rain Again, Open Scars, Temptation's Nest. Like, oh man.
Open Scars and the Road of Devastation.
Yeah.
Creme de la creme.
Yeah, I know some of my favorites. Probably Crippled and Broken, Temptation's Nest. And another one.
Crippled and Broken. Doesn't that have the singer from Kitty on it?
I didn't think so.
Or what song was it that has the singer from Kitty on it?
I'm not sure. I didn't even know she was on it, actually.
Yeah.
Shows how much I look through the booklets and really study. Fuck.
I want to say I think it's Crippled and Broken, but I could be wrong. But I'm nearly sure. Or it might be the Rush song. But go ahead. Sorry. I get long-winded.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I was going to throw it in your face that I get to pick Cataclysm. You don't. Because I know that they're one of your favorite bands. That was a good one. I didn't mean to have it come up first, but that's the way it happened. And we're doing a complete opposite shift from death metal to let's do power metal. And this guy put out his first album in 1977. It wasn't full-on metal, Keep the Dogs Away, but when he returned with a full-length album with Only the Strong, then he really kind of got some more kind of metal influences in there, just to kind of suit the cover here. And I'm trying not to get the glare on there, but yeah, Only the Strong, I think this is 1984, 85, something like that. I think it's 85, but this is one hell of a catchy, super fun. Like, it's not power metal in like a Halloween kind of speedy sense. It's more of like a traditional power metal album, if that makes any sense. So I'll throw it in that realm, and obviously the covers, the Thor cover, the Thor hammers, up that realm. But yeah, this is just everything on this album is just super catchy. Start Raising Hell, Knock 'Em Down, Let the Blood Run Red, When Gods Collide, Rock the City, Thunder in the Tundra. So this is almost like a greatest hits right here, and it's not a greatest hits. It's a studio album. So I had to get some Thor on there. And sure, people may have seen the music video, the Thor music videos going around as like a meme, like a joke meme, like let's laugh at this music video. And you can go ahead and do that, but I think the music's catchy, cool, badass. The cheesy music videos are awesome.
Yeah, yeah, I do like the old Michael Thor. I think like the early stuff was quite cheesy. Like the debut was a little bit cheesy, but that was like in the 70s, like you said. Yeah. And then later on, like Unchained, when he released Unchained, that was the first record I heard of Thor. And I thought that was really good. It was a little bit glammy, but wasn't glam metal. It was, like you said, traditional heavy metal.
Traditional, yeah.
A little bit of speed here and there, but wasn't full speed metal. Yeah,
like I know. I posted Thor in one of the groups one time, and I was like, "Oh, power metal," and the one guy's like, "That's not power metal." Like he's just coming from more of like a
trad metal,
like a Halloween, sort of thing, Blind Guardian kind of power metal, but it's like traditional metal. But the reason I put it in the power metal realm is because the lyrical content, right? If you think about like Dio and Rainbow, what Rainbow was singing about, on those first three albums with Dio, it's all fantasy, right? Dragons, Dungeons and Dragons, things like that. And when you look at Thor, what he's thinking about, When Gods Collide, Thunder in the Tundra, right? Ride of the Chariots, So the lyrical content is fantasy with heavy metal. So that's essentially what power metal is, right? Power is about fantasy. So, So
and also Cataclysm. I have heard of that band, and I do like some of their stuff. But I also like the side project that the guy does in Cataclysm. X-Dexel?
XDO.
Yes, the Roman sort of style of death metal.
And Marchesio will be doing a solo CD that will be coming out later this year too.
Yeah. When I heard Cataclysm, I heard a song, and it kind of had some black metal influences in it. Like I think the early stuff, there was almost not true black metal, but had that sort of style in there. What I heard, so
his high screams definitely have some black metal feels.
Yeah.
Yeah, when he screams, it can kind of sound black metalish, like when he does his really kind of weird scream. But other than that, they're like a really groovy kind of technical death metal. They can be technical at times, but they're not like they're not as technical as like Cryptops. They're nothing crazy like Dying Fetus or nothing like that. There's a lot more groove to it. So it's weird. They're kind of like a groovy technical death metal band. Like the guitarist.
And they have some thrashy elements too, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to get some Cataclysm in my collection because I do like that sort of technical, old school death metal.
Yeah, it is kind of in that vein. Yeah, I'm surprised you don't even have any Cataclysm on CD or anything that you haven't picked up over the years.
No, because I wasn't really a big death metal fan, to be honest. You know, I do like the old school death metal, like the Autopsies, the Obituaries, the early Cannibal Corpses, and all that sort of style. You know, where they had the sort of the thrashy elements in it.
I think you would like Cataclysm then if you like all of those. I think you would really thoroughly enjoy Cataclysm.
I'm sure I would, yeah.
And plus, funny thing about Cataclysm is I met the vocalist one time. I asked the merch booth if I could meet him, and he was like, he's kind of a private person, but let me see what I can do. I asked him about like 7 times, and he was like, all right, I got him to come out. And, he actually pulled me to the side. He pointed at me and told me to come here. And I actually got literally an hour and a half just one-on-one, me and him getting to talk. And I explained to him how much his music means to me. He just was down to earth about it. And he's like, hey, did you get any of our CDs? I was like, dude, I'm only missing one. I already got it. I got it earlier. He's like, what shirts did you want? I was like, dude, I got the shirts. I bought like 4 shirts. It was like right before my birthday. And like, I literally went Google when I saw him. That was the first time I saw him. So I literally went Google. I bought like 6 shirts, a CD, and a hoodie jacket. And he was like, hey, did you get the beanie, the toboggan? I was like, no, I didn't get that. He's like, my gift to you, my friend. And he gave me that. And he's like, when's your birthday and what's your email? And I was like, I gave it to him. He's like, can you write it down for me? And I was like, all right. I wrote it down. About 6 months later, they're on their next tour. I get a message that I can't reply to. It was from Nuclear Blast at the time, what they were signed to. It said, hey, we'd like to wish you a happy birthday. I hope you're happy. And here's from Cataclysm to you. And they actually played on my birthday that next year. And whenever I went to go see him, Marchesio pointed at me right before they played their song, The Black Sheep, was like, this song's for you, my friend. Happy birthday. Enjoy. So that warmed my heart, that he really cared that much.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, and actually, I wasn't gonna say this. We're gonna quickly move on. I know we're trying to quickly move on to the next person here, but or to Frederick here. But I'll quickly say this: I seen Cataclysm. The first time I saw Cataclysm was in a tiny little backdoor stage setup thing behind like a store, like in the warehouse part of the store, just like set up kind of behind the store. Anyway. Like 50 people showed up for the Cataclysm show, but it was one of my most favorite shows ever because they literally played right on the floor. I stood right in front of them, headbang, mosh, like literally right in front of the band, like they're just like right there, right? And like the amount of energy, even though there was like 50, 75 people in there, it was still one of my most favorite shows ever just because like nobody was taking the energy. Like the energy was just right there in this small little contained space. It was fucking wild. It was really awesome. But yeah, I just like quickly say that one.
That is, man, I wish you had video of that. That would have been cool to see.
Okay, I'll cut my turn. Okay, first band that I want to talk about. I'm not sure if this band has ever been released in overseas, but the first band is a band called Renegade. I'll take it out the cover, so it's there.
Okay. Oh, I've vaguely seen that cover, yeah.
This is a band out of Melbourne, and they are a sort of a speed metal in the vein of early Slayer. So if you love your fast, aggressive speed metal, then Renegade. The album's called Total Armageddon, and it's great, just speed metal. The lyrics are probably a little bit in the blackish, sort of like the early Slayer, Show No Mercy LP. This was a one and done LP for this band, which is a shame because this is great Aussie speed metal. So if you love your speed metal, then check it out. Renegade, Total Armageddon.
What year did that come out?
Let me have a look in the lyric sheet. I think 87.
Wow, that's fucking cool.
Yeah.
I wish I could get my hands on that.
So that's the band. This has the demo as well attached to it. So just great Aussie metal. If you love your speed metal, at the time. The vocals are a bit like they have that sort of punky vibe to it, but they actually fit the music with the band. So yeah, that's a Renegade.
Cool.
I won't.
Yeah, I wish I can get my hands on that. Although I could imagine that. Any 80s heavy metal is pricey, and then the more rare. The more obscure it is, the more pricier it is.
Oh yeah, yeah, cool. The next band is a band from my area, from the city of Perth. A band called Allegiance, and this is their debut album, Destitution, and that's the back. So they only released 2 albums. Back in the day, 95 and 97. So they were sort of at the end of the thrash scene.
Oh, that's 90s.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I thought it looks like an 80s.
Yeah. It does look like an 80s, but yeah, it was just the 90s where thrash was starting to wane. But this band got signed to a major label back in the day. So that they were big, they got signed to I forget the label now. I think it could have been Capitol Records, but don't quote me on that. So they released this album, and then they released another album. So this band has reformed again. So hopefully they will release a mini LP or a full length. So yeah, it's the style. I think of early, Metallica, Exodus, Slayer, Megadeth. Your typical, bands. And this also has like a slammer from the UK sort of style. Slammer.
I love my slammer. Yeah.
Yeah, it has that sort of same vibe as slammer. So yeah. So Allegiance from Perth, Western Australia, their debut album, and this was released through EVP Records here in Australia. So
cool.
So there is a CD or version of this, which you get a DVD as well. So, and they're probably still available. So that's my first 2 bands from Australia.
Yeah, I'd like to check them out. I could probably track down the CD for a decent price, I bet. Well, if it's mid-90s, it's probably not too difficult.
Well, this one was released through Iron Bonehead Records, reissued. So I'm sure you can find this album pretty easy. So, and this one you might be easy to find, but don't quote me on that, because you know how records are. They only do limited runs, and when they're gone, they're gone. So yeah, those are my first 2 Aussie bands. So Clint, you're up next, buddy.
All right. What I was asking you to do, Frederick, are you ready?
Yes.
I have these two are tied. Two bands from my area that are from Texas, where I'm at, is a band called Rigor Mortis and Pantera, Great Southern Trendkill. These are tied. They're both excellent Texas metal, repping the, you know, one got obviously bigger than the other one, but rest in peace, Bruce. Pantera just is one of those bands, no telling where you're at. You're gonna know who they are. And about Rigor Mortis, if you don't know who they are, definitely check them out. That first album is as thrash metal as you can get. That's one like speed thrash, and they all just, if you're a fan of them, just definitely check it out. It's really good shit and quite awesome. And it's just, I don't know how to explain how good that album is.
Yeah, I agree. When I heard this record back in the day, it just blew me away of how heavy it was, and it was released on a major label as well. Capitol Records, and for a big label like Capitol Records to sign a band like Rigor Mortis, it was really a brave move from that label. So yeah, as Clint said, it's just full on brutal thrash, speed metal, all about their favorite things, horror, and all the songs about horror movies. Like you got songs like Demons, Reanimator, Wizard of Gore, which is about HG, the guy who did all those horror movies back in the early '60s. So yeah, do check it out. Sadly, this band should have got a lot more attention. I think Capitol Records didn't really push this band or promote this band very well. So
very true.
They only did this one out. And then they got signed to Metal Blade Records. They did an EP and another full-length album, and then they broke up.
Then they broke up and reunited like in the late 2000s. And they did kind of get back together and reunite a little bit between. And they went by the name Wizards of Gore for a little while.
Yes.
And then we all know, they all went to separate projects. One of the members is now in Guar. One of the other members, Mike Scassia, the guitar player, went to Ministry until he died. And then Bruce, the legendary Bruce, aka Batman, rest in peace, my friend. And he went to go start War Beast, which is another band that's really should be bigger than what they are.
Yeah, but this is was a continuation of War Beast, I would say. But War Beast had a bit more other influences. There was a little bit of black metal, a little bit of death metal in there. If you look at the War Beast logo, it's all a mix of styles of fonts. You got your thrash metal fonts, you got your gore metal fonts, and you got your black metal fonts on the War Beast logo.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, War Beast definitely musically could have a lot of death metal elements to them, but Bruce's has his signature voice,
Yes, he did. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, Rigor Mortis are a great band, and Pantera. Yeah, you can't forget Pantera. They brought back thrash metal back in 2000. The extreme music.
That's I would even say in the '90s they kind of, they were one of the few thrash bands from the '90s that actually stayed irrelevant. Most of the thrash bands, if you weren't Metallica or, something like that, or they got outbeat by grunge. But Pantera was like, fuck that. We're not going to do that. We're going to just stay doing, doing what we do and, powered through it and got bigger through it.
That's it. That's absolutely true. You know?
What Pantera did you pick? Did you pick Great Southern Trendkill?
Yeah, Great Southern Trendkill. Yeah, that's
Okay,
personally my favorite one. Might
cool.
not have my favorite Pantera song of all time, but just as an album whole, that one just I think Phil's High Screams on it. Just Phil's range is just nasty, brutal on that album.
Okay, cool.
And
James?
my second one, because I said those were kind of tied, would be
Cheater.
what?
Cheater.
Is Testament Load.
Oh, Low? Oh, yeah, Low. I love that.
I mean, Load to me is creme de la creme. It might not the best guitar playing on it. Like, I mean, it ain't as, it don't have the original guitar player on it. And that guy just is amazing. But just overall, this album has everything Chuck Billy can do. His cleans, his screams, his signature low growls. Mwah!
Yeah. James Murphy is a good guitar player. You can't dismiss James Murphy. You know,
Yeah.
He's been in a lot of bands like Cancer from the UK. He's been in Death. He's been Controlled Denied. You know, he's been in so many other great bands. And Low is he does play good guitar on that album. But to me, Low was kind of it was a mixed thing. It had that thrash, but also they were incorporating a little bit more death metal in the sound as well.
And then there was that one soft song, too.
Yeah.
I just thought it was a good balance of everything.
Yeah, I agree. It was a good album. Yeah, I don't think it was one of their best albums.
I think it is, but that's my opinion.
Yeah, it was a good album, but it wasn't one of their best. What came before it and then after it, they just got better. I agree. So
I love Low, and the cool thing about Low, kind of what Clint you just said, how it's a good balance is that's actually what I think. It's a balance of the Old Testament, the early thrash stuff. So they kept that thrash, but then what they're doing now, or even the last 2, 3, 4, 5 albums, it's a mix of their earlier stuff and what they're doing now. It's that exact middle point for them.
Definitely well said. That's why I like it so much. Definitely well said, Jamie. Definitely.
No, it's not. They're like their. I think what's their fourth album? What's their fourth album called?
What, Ritual?
The Ritual, yeah, the one where it was just pure. Wasn't really thrash metal at all. It was probably their weakest album. Low beats that album.
Yeah, I like Low way better than Ritual. I don't like. I like Ritual. Ritual would be near the bottom for me.
Yeah, because it was same here. Oh, cool.
Something about Ritual has an odd production and mix and tone to the whole thing. It's just kind of I don't know. It's like it's good. Like when I break it down, it's good. But then I don't often listen to it. I'd often choose other ones. So there's a reason for that. It's hard to touch on.
Yeah, because I think it was coming off the thrash scene as well. When thrash was dying, they sort of try to go a little bit more commercial on that album, trying to keep.
I don't know. It's like they didn't figure out what direction they were going to go. Like, are we still thrash? Are we going to do this? Are we going to do that? Like, and then the production and tone, they couldn't get the tone down right. I don't know.
Yeah, no, but Low. I do like Low, but I wouldn't put it, high as the other Testament albums that I liked. It would be in the top maybe 10. It would be in the top, 10. So
Low's one of my more favorites. Yeah, Low's a good one. I don't have a problem with that.
It's my favorite, but that's what everybody has different opinions.
That's it. So Jamie, you're up next.
All right, I'm going to pull out an LP for this one. I'll take it out of the sleeve so there's no glare. Okay. So everyone's going to know this band. I'm just going to go ahead and show it. We got Anvil, Scorch, and Fire in 1983. They pretty well were early on, 1983. They're pretty well they've pretty well just transitioned right into pure thrash on this one, kind of a speedy thrash. And yep, just iconic Anvil here. Everyone kind of Anvil kind of got a rebirth or another life when there was a documentary about Anvil, and everyone saw that documentary. Then they went back and checked out the music. That's much like me. I kind of seen the documentary. I didn't really know of Anvil too much before that. I never really paid attention to them until I did see that documentary, and then I go back and kind of respect the music. But yeah, 1983, here we are. Good stuff.
Yeah, I was the same. I didn't know about Anvil back in the day, but I didn't. I knew Metal of Metal, and the way I found about Anvil was in the video game with the one with the Jack Black played in. That fantasy video game was on the Xbox.
Okay, yeah, I don't know about that.
I forget what it's called, but that's when I first heard Anvil, and then when I heard that album, I thought, wow, this is some pure speed metal, really fast, really heavy. That was one of those albums that I really enjoy. Like the follow up to Metal of Metal, that album.
Yeah, the one before the Metal on Metal, yeah, Metal on Metal 81, I believe. That one still had some some classic rock, kind of in traditional metal in 81, and as they did move into this one, they kind of ramped it up a little bit more.
I don't know.
I don't actually know if this came out before Kill 'Em All, but it would have been right. I think it did come out before Kill 'Em All, right around there. But in terms of month, I don't know if this actually came out month to month before Kill 'Em All or right after. But they were right up in there. I know. I think Metallica went to toured in Canada at one point, and they played a bunch of shows together, Anvil and Metallica. So I know James and Metallica kind of respected Anvil, and they knew about them.
No, for me, Anvil are another band that has a different a different sort of mix of styles as well. That they had that thrash speed element, and they had the sort of the power metal, and they had the trad metal influences as well, as you mentioned, Jamie.
Yeah, I think this is kind of regarded with the underground thrashers and things like that. I think this is regarded as their best album. This is their people in the underground. Yeah. I think it's a lot of people's favorite album because Lips, the singer, as he started doing the albums after, he started getting much goofy with the songs. Almost like some of the songs would be humorous, kind of some cheesy. Annihilator later on, right? Where Cheeky kind of has that humor, goofy song title. And this one, there isn't really any of that goofy cheekiness. It's kind of very serious. So it does come across as being serious and things like that. But depending on what Anvil album you go to, what era, what year, you might find some of that goofiness a little bit too much.
I did enjoy their later stuff as well. When that Number 13 and onwards, that they released some good records, in the 2000s. So as well. So, but yeah, they always had that tongue-in-cheek lyrics, which is it's also like in Australia we have some bands that have sort of tongue-in-cheeks, and America has those bands with the tongue-in-cheeks. It's just good fun heavy metal. They're not taking themselves seriously, and so yeah.
Yeah, that's the one
I think the only goofy song title on this one, really, on Fortune Fire, is there's Butter Bus Jerky.
Yes.
Butter Bus Jerky. That's kind of about it. So, and then I know some of the other albums just have a lot of goofy stuff. Song titles.
Yeah, like March of the Crabs, and so yeah, no, I do like my Anvil, especially the early stuff.
So I'll show a second one here. Probably it's gonna sound it's weird to me because when I'm in Canada, I think everybody will know this band, but outside of Canada, no one knows these bands because they might be radio rock bands, and metalheads don't pay attention to that kind of stuff. But Anyway, I'm going to show Monster Truck here. So Monster Truck here. We got Sitting Heavy. What year is this? 2016. 2016. But this is it's not really metal. It's just hard rock, good old school. Just no frills, no goofing around. Just straight up hard rock. You know what I mean? Bare bones, hard rock. The singer has like a nice kind of high pitch, not like AC/DC, but he has a nice high pitch, right? It's actually kind of a unique high pitch, actually. But yeah, great band, great album. They have 3 full-length albums out to this day. I have all 3, and out of the 3, this one's probably my favorite, so that's why I ended up picking this one. And yeah, it's actually awesome. I don't know if you guys can see, but they made a patch for every song on the album. There's in each individual patch representing every song. So there's a song called here, She's a Witch, and then they have a patch on here on that purple one, She's a Witch. Oh, cool. And actually, I have this patch. There's a song on here called The Enforcer, song number 8, and then they have this one down here with the hockey skull. This one here with the hockey skull, The Enforcer. I actually have that patch. I went to one of the shows and they had the patch sitting out there, so I bought the Enforcer patch. So it wasn't just like it's not just a show. They actually made a patch for every song title on here. So that's fucking cool.
That is cool.
These guys are awesome. They're actually recent. I wouldn't even really want to. I think it's stupid, but whatever. It gives them promotion. They're recently in the headlines right now because Kid Rock used one of their songs. You guys have probably heard about that Kid Rock, the new Kid Rock song with them. Anyway, Kid Rock recently put out a new song, and he basically sampled a Monster Truck song. So now, and for me, Monster Truck, but for everyone else that hears it, they're thinking it's a Kid Rock song. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're thinking, oh, this is a Kid Rock song. I'm like, no, he stole a Monster Truck song. But yeah, so they're kind of he was getting in the headlines they were getting in the headlines for that because and then Danko Jones was calling out Monster Truck saying, oh, how dare you
rip off.
No, Danko Jones is like, how dare you kind of be friends with Kid Rock? Kid Rock's a loser and all these kind of things. And Monster Truck's like, hey, he wants to use our song. He's going to pay for it. He's paying us for it. We don't care who's using it.
No, that's true. Yeah.
So Kid Rock must have went to him and must have went to Monster Truck and say, hey, I like this song. I want to kind of remix it, like rap over it and do my Kid Rock thing over it. I'll pay you X amount of money to let me use the song. So they're probably like, sure.
Yeah, get those royalties in. Yeah,
I think it's actually. I think it's the song "Don't Tell Me How to Live." Track number 2. Anyway, I think it's track number 2 that Kid Rock did a remix of "Don't Tell Me How to Live." But I don't know. I watched the Kid Rock remix one that just came out a month ago or whatever, and for me, I know the original. I've known the original ever since it came out, so I much prefer the original. I don't mind Kid Rock. I'm not going to speak badly about him as like everyone else does, but I didn't really dig his version a whole lot. I much prefer Monster Truck's version. But yeah, this band's cool. Actually, another little story before we pass it off is the first time I saw them live, it was in a kind of a nightclub, and I kind of sit back and be like, okay, is there going to be a mosh pit? Are people going to rage? And so they come out, they start playing a song or into the second song or whatever, and a bit of a pit breaks out. I'm like, okay, cool, I'll get involved in this. Some pushy shoving, nothing crazy like a Slayer pit. Just like kind of just pushing just to feel the music and vibe, right? Just like kind of just light little moshing, nothing serious. So anyway, the security guards start pointing their lights and getting like, what's going on down there? And then they start getting up super close and flashing their lights. And I throw up a middle finger. I'm just like, fuck you, fuck this, fuck all this, what's going on? Fuck all this shit. This is stupid. flashing your security lights and getting all involved. Like, this is stupid. So I threw up a middle finger, and next thing you know, one of the security guards are coming up from me from behind, and kind of grab my arm to start escorting me out the building. And I'm all confused. I'm like, why am I getting escorted out the building? And I'm like trying to ask. I'm like, you know, I was drinking, right? So, but nothing. I wasn't intoxicated. Obviously, I could talk straight. I wasn't that drunk. So I'm trying to ask him. I'm like, what's going on? Why am I getting kicked out? Like, can you at least tell me why? And he like, the security guard that escorted me out didn't tell me. But when I went outside, when he put me outside, not threw me outside, I walked out. And the front head security guard said that he's like, oh yeah, that guy said you were pushing, you pushed a security guard or something like that. I'm like, that is bullshit. That is bullshit. I did not push a security guard. I thought back. I'm like, all I did is I threw up a middle finger, and they lied and said I pushed one of them. That's so bullshit. So anyway, I'm standing outside, just like, I was so angry because I only saw like 2 or 3 songs at that point. I'm like so angry. I'm like, this is fucking stupid. But I realized, okay, there's no way I'm going to go back in. They're not going to let me go back in. So I'm kind of like, huffing and puffing, just angry. So I go back to my car. I was smoking weed back then. So I go back to my car. I'm smoking weed in my car. And another guy gets kicked out, and they start roughhousing the guy outside. Like, there's this kid outside in the back alley, like in kind of the back alley in the parking lot park, where I'm just sitting there watching, and they're roughing up this fucking kid. They're pushing this guy down to the ground, the security guards, and I wanted to go out and kind of like, break it up and start some shit, but I'm like, it's not the time and the place. I'm not going to get into it. But I just thought these security at this club is just a joke, man. Like, they're kicking me out. They're kicking all these people out. They're outside roughing up some kid. I'm like, fucking Christ.
Yeah, it's like here in Australia too. Like, the security are pretty rough, But if somebody is being rough, inside a bar or a concert, and they are causing trouble, then they have the authority to, subdue that person, but not to beat the shit out of them. You know what I mean? And put them in hospital.
Yeah. Well, what this was is, I think if you go to like a rock or metal club or place that does a lot of metal shows, they know that there's going to be mosh pit. The security knows it's not new to them. This happens every night, 5 days a week at a metal show. They know what's going on. But this club in particular didn't host a whole lot of metal shows, so the security wasn't like trained on what a mosh pit was. So they were just kind of confused, like, what's going on down there? There's some pushing, shoving. Like, I was like, whoa, man, everyone's just having fun. Nobody's like getting hurt. They're all having fun. We're doing this on purpose, not because we're like angry. So it's just a lack of like security guards get hired, and they're used to like rap and club and dance shows, right? They're not used to that sort of stuff. So.
Right. But if you go to a rap show, you get the odd mosh pit too, I suppose. People.
So they just weren't used to it, but yeah.
Okay, cool.
Anyway, it's actually the first time. That was the first time ever in my life. At that time, I'd ever got kicked out of a nightclub ever in my life.
Oh well, that's a notch in your belt. So okay, so I guess it's my turn. Well, I'm going to go back to Perth, WA, and I'm going to show you a band called Stone Lotus. And Stone Lotus are a doom metal band, and they're from down south of Australia. And if you love Down, Corrosion of Conformity, and Crowbar, you put them all together. This is the sound you'll get on Stone Lotus. Wow. It's very heavy, and there's a couple of tracks where the lead singer does have that Phil Amundsen type vocals. He sounds like Phil from Pantera. of a couple of tracks. So yeah, if you love those three bands, you mix them all together. Stone Lotus is a band that you should check out. You know, it's very heavy. You know, you can tell it's very dark. You know, so those are the tracks there. Swamp Coven, Mountain of Field. So it's a really, really heavy doom metal band. So do check them out. They're from Bunbury down south. So okay, and I'm going to show you another band that's from Perth.
I actually saw. Sorry to cut you off. I actually saw Corrosion of Conformity. This is going to be the killer, though. I saw they opened for a show with Motorhead. I saw them with Motorhead.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Next record I'm going to show you is a band from Perth again. And the band is called King Zog. So
Is that French fries?
Album cover, cool.
Is that French fries on the album cover?
No, he's holding a.
No.
Oh, okay.
Oh, cool.
I thought it was a McDonald's French fry thing.
That's the band in there. This is their one and only album as well. They are around, but they're only a 3-piece because the lead vocalist left the band. He moved to the UK, so this was their one and only self-released album. You know, like it's just doom for doom's sake. You know, you got some great songs like there's a great song called "Fuck Island." You got a song called "Witch Smoker," which is very sort of stoner doom song. You got "Season in Hell." So this is like a mix of doom, stoner doom, a little bit of occult doom. You know, and you can tell by the cover what you would expect for a doom metal album.
Is it super slow?
Well, slow, mid-paced, you know, heavy, chunky.
It's always a rarity for me to like. I like doom, but I like when the doom can be like an upbeat doom, if that makes any sense. Like the obsessed, even down can get up. Like they're not like super slow. Like down is fast, but they're kind of like that stonery kind of sludge or whatever. But
well, that's what you get with this band. You know, it's mixed. It's mid-paced, slow, chunky. You know,
like I know I get turned off when like I'll check I'll go to YouTube and check out like a Doom album preview, and I'll skip through a couple tracks, and like if it's like super slow, like if all just slow, I kind of just skip it. But so I always have a hard time finding like upbeat kind of fast tempo Doom, if that makes any sense.
I know what you mean, yeah, because Doom is like it varies from style to style. You know, you got your really slow, sludgy Doom. You got your heavy mid-paced Doom. You got your Doom which is goes on full bore. You know, like really almost in that sort of speed metal style of Doom. You know, very fast guitars, and you know, I think of bands like Solitude Eternus. You know, Cryptic Sermon. That type of.
Or you got Death Doom too, you know. Like my favorite Death Doom band is November's Doom.
Oh yeah, your Funeral Doom, yeah. So yeah, no, this album is great. I loved it. You know, I heard this on the radio, and I had to get it. And when I saw this album, I had to grab it. You know, it's supporting my local scene, and you're supporting your local music because these bands need our support. Okay, that's my two. Jamie? Or no, Clint? Yeah, Clint.
All right, another band I'm going to represent from the United States is The End of All Things by Mudvayne.
Oh, cool. I love that album.
This is kind of new metal, heavy metal, hard rock. Like this is kind of the album that kind of broke my. What's a good word of putting it? Kind of was my. Kind of like led me to kind of go down the pathway of
You
getting
introduced
into like different things, like
sorry.
kind of like branching my mind on the because before this album it was pretty much like just death metal and gore grind and stuff like that, and that album just kind of when it dropped I remember hearing that whenever they had a World So Cold, they had
Mm-hmm.
that song on the radio and Not Falling. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
wow, this band's that guy has a great voice, deep lyrics, and I was like, wow, this is absolutely great, different thing. We kind of, like if you knew when before that album, like I said, it was like death metal and stuff like that, and Rob Zombie, that was pretty much what I listened to, or White
Yeah,
Zombie, better yet, at that time too.
yeah. Well,
And it just kind of branched my mind into like hearing something different, and just
yeah.
hearing like the guys from like Screams and Sings. I was like, wow, just incredible album.
Yeah, when I heard Mudvayne, I always thought they were trying to copy bands like Static X and White Zombie and
Slipknot.
Slipknot. Yeah, Slipknot. Yeah, but they had they looked like like ICP because they looked like clowns. With all the makeup, like sort of that clown makeup, and then they went like solid silver. All silver makeup and
The singer was the one that had the silver makeup, Chad Gray. But like, on this album, is kind of like the beginning of it. They were all like wearing alien costumes.
yeah,
And, then by the middle of it, they stopped wearing the makeup. They stopped wearing, all the stuff and kind of went, just normal, your traditional, just normal look. But then you'll see like Chad Gray live, he'll be drowned himself in like blood still. He'll put like a gallon of blood on him and all, scream like that. Or whenever I saw him, he had a pink gorilla suit on. Yeah, and like had his like black mascara and just blood all over him.
okay.
And I can pick any Slipknot. Do what?
I was going to say that I never got into Mudvayne. It just wasn't my cup of tea.
I mean, like lyrically too is one of my biggest influences. Like it's funny. Lyrically, it's one of, they inspired me a lot too. It kind of branched me out of writing instead of like, death metal lyrics, like trying to be as brutal as possible into like more of writing about stuff that was irrelevant, stuff I'm going through, and the painful stuff I'm going through, writing it instead of like just be the grotesque lyrics I could write. The most brutal things I could think of. It kind of opened my window to how to write and get deep with the words.
Okay.
And for my next one, I could have picked any Slipknot album, but I'm gonna kind of go outside the box on Slipknot, and it really ain't a Slipknot album. I'm gonna go with Stone Sour's "Come Whatever May."
Oh well.
And this is like it has a good mix of like everything, like the heaviness. Some songs of Slipknot, guitar tones, because Jim Root's on this album too. Has like the like really kind of heavy hitting, like 30-30-150 has that angry guitar tone, but then it softened things up like ZZYX Road, and it just shows you the full range of what Corey can do with his voice. There's some twangy stuff on it. He screams on it. There's some bluesy kind of vocals. It shows you his full range of everything he can do on this one album, and it just lyrically too, this album's just creme de la creme to me. Mwah.
Okay.
I was going to add with the Mudvayne album, I was trying to think of what is different between, or what varies between LD50 and that one. Like, how could I describe the difference? And it's much like with Lamb of God with Ashes of the Wake, where LD50 was so good, and I'm like, how is this band going to top this? What's this band going to do next? And then when that album came out, it's just like when Lamb of God, where they put out Sacrament. It's still Lamb of God. It's still Mudvayne. Like, it's when that album came out, it's still Mudvayne. It was still super deep. The singer is super dynamic. He's singing, he's screaming, he has emotional parts. There's super catchy, melodic, technical parts. Like, the musicianship on that Mudvayne album is just fantastic. I think that's probably why you picked it. It's just because, like, the songwriting and the musicianship, it's not like they're not just like straightforward songs. Like, they kind of get like loopy and
yeah,
like,
that's very true.
Take you on a ride. They take you on a ride, like up and down, and it's just super dynamic. And it's weird because the first one is super dynamic too. So it's weird how both those albums are so Mudvayne, but they're all like they're almost like so different too.
Very
I don't know,
much.
I'd say the first one is probably like more aggressive, and that one is a little bit more melodic and spacey.
Yeah, good examples. I mean, but like with LD50, the two, you have to remember, like, not a lot of people know, because they kind of released after, or they re-released it to the public after. But there is technically an album before LD50, which is the end of all things beginning. And it has like it has that LD50 kind of sound to it, a little more raw, a little more heavier. Chad's vocals weren't the best on the cleans, but I'd say this one on it, Chad's cleans got so much better. Because you'll hear him do some cleans on the LD50, but they're really not,
He was harmonizing better on that second one. Well, the third one, but the second one. Yeah, he was harmonizing a bit better, and then kind of it's weird. They're always very progressive, and that album is progressive, but it's probably a little bit more of a refined progressive, and that first one is like very raw progressive.
Yeah, very much so.
I'd say that's probably the two differences. But I was gonna say before we cut off, to me, I suppose, but it'd be at some point after that album, they did a bunch of touring for that album, and the amount of screaming he was doing and not screaming properly, it's it's highly known that at some point after that album, he blew his voice out, and he had to get like vocal surgery and things like that. He blew it out, and not in mine, probably his own opinion, that once he blew his voice out, it's never really been quite the same since.
Oh, you say that, and you can kind of, especially going to the album after that, with Lost and Found, you can kind of hear a little bit, but just live, he still can do everything live. Like when I saw them live, they sound heavier live to me.
Well, that's where I kind of beg to differ, is because we've all been hearing about this Mudvayne reunion for years and years, and fans have wanted it for years, and that's actually why he said no. That's why he didn't ever want to do a Mudvayne reunion, because he knows how hard he used to scream on those first couple albums, and he knows he can't do that anymore.
Which is
that's
funny.
Why he was so hesitant. And a lot of people now, like newer kids, they'll see these YouTube videos of these Mudvayne reunion shows, like on YouTube. I even went to go see it, and people are like, "Oh, he can't scream as good," and like people don't know he blew his voice out, and that's why he when he did Hell Yeah, he kind of switched his vocal, like he was screaming but differently. He was doing it in a way that he could do it every night, not like in the old school Mudvayne way. So he just altered it a little bit to where people couldn't really notice. But yeah, that's kind of what was going on.
Yeah, I mean, when I saw him was back in 2006 is whenever I saw him with Mudvayne, and I've seen Hell Yeah like 3 times. But this latest tour that Mudvayne did, they're on tour. They're back together right now,
Yeah.
and they're about to go on tour with Rob Zombie and Static X and Power Man 5000. Did you know about that, Jamie?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And I'm excited to see that. I'm like, one of the reasons, like, I watched the live video of the new Mudvayne set, when they played that one festival, and
Yeah.
I'll admit his voice didn't sound that good, but he came out later and said he had COVID and still screaming, which that shouldn't have, he shouldn't have done that, but I guess he had to be there for the fans.
Yeah, like a live performance, I'm not going to be one of those guys who goes on YouTube and be like, "Oh, his voice is crap, blah, blah, blah," and talk a bunch of shit. Like, I understand all the things. Like, okay, he's 40, he's in his 40s now, right? So, like, he's not going to be screaming as good. And I did know he is blowing his voice out numerous times. So, I factor in all these things. And, live music is supposed to be fun. It's not supposed to be something that just, like, dissected and picked apart every little note and things like that. Like, people who do that, you go listen to pop music or something else, that because that's not really what live music's about, to like dissect every little thing. But I did see those comments online, people saying, "Oh, listen this and blah blah blah, this and that," and I give them a break. But if you go back and watch, like, oh man, I had a Mudvayne VHS from that I forget what it's called, the very first Mudvayne VHS live concert that they put out, and oh my god, he was incredible back then, just incredible. And like even like dramatic, like a stage performance, dramatic, like incredible. But
he definitely does have a good stage presence.
Oh, back then when he would wear the makeup and all that stuff, oh my god, was he ever dramatic. And he was almost like Marilyn Manson. Like, he would get so into the song, so emotional, he would like just like fall to his hands and knees and kind of like cry and still sing the song, just totally just in it.
I've done that a few times. It does. I mean, it does take a toll on you. Being a front man myself, and like, you do have certain songs that you hold close, and you do, like, certain times, it hits you harder than some other times. Like our song, my old band's song called Reflections, and my brother just got out of prison and saw us play. And it's the first time he's seen us play in a year and a half. I kind of broke down during that song because that song was about, our mom dying, our mom when she died of an overdose and stuff like that. And playing that song and seeing him, it kind of drove a lot of emotions. And it was kind of cool at that show too. I told everybody to put their lighters up, put up the flames, and I had probably about 200 people doing that. It set the mood. Depending on the mood of the atmosphere, you can get very emotionally driven in your music.
Yeah, for me, when I first seen that Mudvayne VHS concert performance, it was a live performance from year 2000, I think, and oh my god, it blew me. It would still blow me away if I were to pull it up on YouTube right now. Like, oh my god, it's very rare you see anyone perform with such like emotion and passion and screaming, and just he wasn't just like faking it. He was like selling, believing everything. Like he was so into it back then. It was unreal.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. And I guess we're on to me, so we'll keep it moving here. And anyway, so I'm going to show an Exciter, the band Exciter, Canada. Just an iconic cult underground Exciter speed gods, I'd say. They are the speed gods. They basically took what Motorhead was doing, took the yelling and screaming of just the most extreme screaming metal at the time, combined the two, and you got Exciter. So anyway, the hard thing for me was, well, I'm going to show my favorite Exciter. And I was like, I don't actually know my favorite Exciter. I'm going to have to figure it out. So my task this afternoon was, I know I'm going to pick an Exciter, but which ones? So I had it narrowed down between Violence and Force and Long Live the Loud. I was actually going to put Frederick on the spot and ask him which one his favorite would be, but I'll put him on the spot after. Anyway, so I had to figure out between the two which was my favorite Exciter. I ultimately picked Violence and Force. Is it going to show there? Yeah. I ultimately picked Violence and Force because I just thought the album was there was a couple more songs on it. It was just overall, it was, I like it just a tiny bit better than Long Live the Loud. So that's why I had to go with Violence and Force. And Frederick, I was going to ask you before you got pulled away there for a second. I was going to ask you what your favorite Exciter would be to put you on the spot.
My Exciter, I think it would be the debut.
The Heavy Metal Maniacs.
Heavy Metal Maniac. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that one didn't cross. It didn't even. I didn't even think of it to be my number one because I know it's not my number one, so I didn't even bother trying to pretend like it was. So, but yeah, no, I was definitely going in between. It was like it's either Violence and Force or Long Live the Loud. And hell, to be honest, I actually really love Kill After Kill as well. The one after, I guess it would be after Violence and Force. No, it would be after Long Live the Loud. No.
Yeah, I think it was later on. I think it was after Long Live the Loud. I think because they got.
I'm just confused. Well, I'm not confused, but Kill After Kill is 92. Long Live the Loud's 85, and I was like, was there another one between? There wasn't. There was a gap.
Yeah,
that's kind of odd.
They got signed to Noise for that record, and they only did that one record for Noise Records.
Yeah. It just occurred to me how odd that is that in the height of Exciter's popularity, they had a 7-year gap in between Long Live the Loud and Kill After Kill, which is very strange.
Yeah, I think because they had a lot of lineup changes as well. Don't forget that there were all these lineup changes. People were leaving, and Belia did a solo album before then as well.
I didn't know that, but yeah, I actually really love Kill After Kill. I've been trying to listen to it more and more the last couple of years, and yeah, I actually really in tune with that album too. So I could actually probably throw it in there as well. But I'm going to choose Violence and Force. Just a non-stop, relentless, speeding, screaming, over-the-top heavy metal album from 1984. We got Violence and Force, Screaming in the Night, pounding metal, Desecrator, Delivering to the Master, Saxons on the Fire. This album is fucking incredible.
That is a good album as well. You know, I do like that one as well. So I like the debut. The debut was a little bit more raw. Then I think the second one was a little bit more raw, but a little bit more polished as well. But they were both.
I think the first one, Heavy Metal Maniacs, it was definitely like speedy, but it had like the traditional heavy metal mixed in as well. And they were trying to be really evil. And, well, not on, but they were really evil and things like that. But I think as they even got moved on, they even got even more outlandish. Like, okay, the screaming got even more high-pitched and more over the top. Just everything kind of ramped it up just a little bit more.
Yeah.
What kind of vocals is it? Like, I mean, I've heard Exciter. I've heard the name. I mean, I've just never really listened to them. So what would you say the vocals are like?
Almost King Diamond-ish sometimes.
Yeah.
Sort of like King Diamond.
Yeah, it's like King Diamond, but ear shattering. Just like like it's just ear shattering, just over the top. And there's just the music is just speeding, relentless. It's just madness.
Yeah, I don't know how Belia did it. The singing and the drumming together. That would.
So the vocals, the drummer in that band too.
What was that?
The singer is the drummer in that band too, like Autopsy.
Yeah, Belia was the vocalist and the drummer.
Oh wow!
So yeah, I don't know how he did it, because he would have been worn out.
Do it live, definitely.
Yeah, actually, I've pulled up some live videos, like a YouTube from Exciter back in the day, and yeah, you could hear him on the drum and screaming, and I was just like, you're just like, what the? You're just like, holy shit, man, this is crazy.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Okay, so I guess it's me.
I only showed the one so far, so I'll show the other one. This actually, I'm hoping you guys know this band, but if not, it's so cool. I believe they're like a Calgary or Edmonton band, probably the next province over from me, so not too far away from me. But I'm going to show Cobra and the Lotus here, High Priestess. And
yes.
I'd say this is like modern power metal. Like, no, this is not 80s power metal. This is like modern power metal, much like maybe like a more aggressive version of maybe like, obviously this is female fronted, so it's female. So it's like a Sabaton, but it's much more traditional heavy metal. It's like a traditional heavy metal, power metal type kind of style, and female fronted. So, she's got those high pitched kind of female power metal, like confidence, power voice kind of thing, right? But yeah, this album's incredible. Warhorse, I am Visionary. So yeah, this album's awesome, super heavy, good stuff. And, there's guitar solos and all that kind of good stuff. So
was that album produced by Gene Simmons on his label, or was that after one of the latest ones? Because I know Gene Simmons released a couple of their albums on his label back in the day.
It looks to be kind of just like they're under their own label, Cobra Music, Cobra and the Lotus. So I think it's under their own thing.
Yeah, I have heard of that band, and I have heard a couple of songs. I do like that band a lot.
So are they like Huntress?
Sorry?
Are they like Huntress?
Probably, yeah. I say Huntress meets Warlock, meets Doro, that sort of style, yeah.
Yeah, that's great. I would definitely go with that. Sure. Yeah, they're like a Warlock, Huntress. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's that style. Yeah, and yeah, I love them because I'm a sucker for anything kind of female fronted. They're like good quality rock, hard rock, metal, female fronted, just good stuff. So I thought I'd bust them out, and this is one of my more favorite Canadian albums. So let's get her on there.
Okay, I guess it's my turn. I'm still back in Australia, and I want to talk about this band, a band called Aggressor. And they're a band out of Sydney, and they are a thrash metal band, and the album's called Nuclear Death. So this was just a one-off album by this band. I never recorded anything else. You got their album, which was released in 1987, 88, so very early on in the thrash metal scene. They did release a demo in 86, which is on here as well. So yeah, this is just fast, brutal thrash. There is a cover on here by Dead on Arrival called DOA.
Oh, Dead on Arrival. So I mean, Grim Reaper cover.
Yes, the Reaper cover.
Sounds like it'd be a Grim Reaper cover, Dead on Arrival.
They've got like political songs and just a normal thrash metal songs. A little bit of Satanism in there as well. Yeah, the drummer from this band, Sloth, you may know him from sadistic execution.
Hmm.
So he left this band and he joined Sadistic Execution. So yeah, as you can tell by the cover, just pure thrash.
Yeah, that looks like your typical. You're not your typical, but your typical awesome, cool mid '80s thrash.
Yeah, I put them in the vein of say Nuclear Assault, but not their hardcore style, but more their thrashy style. Yeah, a little bit of Creator in there probably as well. So cool cover. I love the cover. It's kind of cheesy with the nuclear explosion and the little jet plane with the skulls there. So yeah, Aggressor. Check them out if you haven't. This was reissued through Iron Bonehead as well. So,
I wish I'd heard that. I wish I'd heard that before because I bet it's good.
Oh, it is. It is good. Aussie metal, has really really grown in the years, with the thrash and and the hardcore and the death metal and doom and
especially in the metalcore scene, even though you don't listen to that.
okay. And my second one is another band from Sydney or Canberra, a band called Witch Skull, and this is their covers. Cool. And this is just doom metal as well. The vocalist is the drummer of this band, who was in Armored Angel back in the day. So if you know Armored Angel,
oh wow,
this is his band, and you can tell by the cover what to expect. With the sort of the goat, the skull, sort of demonic looking. You've got like songs like Son of the Snake, Raven, Priestess, Demon's Gate, Lord of the Void. It's going to be sort of a cult.
Definitely Christian music.
Yeah. Very dark, very, heavy.
Definitely gospel.
Slow. This is a great album as well. Doom metal is starting to go pretty big here in Australia as well, with the death metal and the thrash. So yeah, check it out. This was released through Rise Above Records. So if you're not familiar with this record and you like your doom, which is dark and heavy, and Witch Skull,
definitely
cool.
Witch Skull, cool.
I'd say I'm probably definitely lacking in my doom metal. I'd like to get some more doom. Get into some more doom. But again, I always have a hard time finding like the upbeat stuff because I'll see someone post some stuff in some groups or whatever, and I'll click on it. And it's always just like that super, super slow 8 minute super slow stoner doom stuff, and I'm just like, no, I'm not interested in that.
Oh,
Jamie,
you have to be really, into it. It needs to be one of those styles that you have to be in the mood for.
But I always try to find like some more upbeat, kind of more like mid-tempo, high-tempo stoner doom.
Yeah.
There's a band. There's actually a Canadian band. I probably could have shown on here. I don't know any of them, but there's a cool band that follows in that realm called Dope Throne, and Dope Throne is like kind of much more like fast. It's like fast.
Yeah. You also check out another Canadian band, Smolder. Laura Branningham from Bangers TV's band.
Oh.
Which is very upbeat, sort of speedy metal. Epic doom metal. Check out, Cryptic Sermon, Solitude Eternus, which are fast paced. Sorcerer, another band that's fast paced, sort of doom metal. There's a lot out there. You just have to really, search.
Yeah. Yeah,
This one I would recommend.
sorry.
My Dying Bride, Yob.
Yeah, there's so much out there. Like you really have to really, check on YouTube. Check out these bands. Or go into Metal Archives and just look at the Doom section and just say, oh, just check this band out. They might have a video out there or a sound bit on YouTube. And you check them out. So yeah. So those are my two. Okay, Clint, it's your turn.
All right, I'm going to go with the. This album right here really is got a lot of thrash elements, some metalcore elements. I'm going to go with some Trivium Shogun.
Trivium Shogun, awesome.
Trivium, yeah.
Yeah, their album Shogun. I mean, incredible album from the beginning to the end. It kind of pioneered like their old sound, their new sound, their thrash sound, everything they incorporated into everything they've ever done, and just blends it right together. Like even their newer stuff, it has some of that kind of sound, and it just incredible album from beginning to end. Not really a lot I can say on it, but a lot of people probably know that album. You want to say anything about it, Jamie?
It's a great album, front to back. I was just thinking when you showed, I'm like, I actually haven't probably listened to that in a while, so I'm actually probably gonna when I put the CDs I pulled out for the show away, I'm gonna pull that out and put it in my upcoming play pause. I haven't listened to that album in a while, even though when it came out, I played it to death. I would know that whole album front to back. I'd be able to hum all the melodies and choruses. So I wouldn't need to touch up on that way. I just haven't listened to it in a while, but. I know right from the get-go, as soon as that album did get released, it got great reviews. Like everyone was like, "Oh my god, this album is so good!" So, yeah, Trivium is awesome. Trivium is one of my more favorite bands, like from the modern era. It's one of the best modern metal bands, and I'm so happy that they stuck around and they're going to be like a lifelong band. Like they put out like almost 10 albums now. So this band is here. They've been around forever. Or they've been around already for 20 years and they're still going, and I love to see that. Yeah, and I've been. Yeah. I think I hit a one time where I was lucky enough. I went and saw. They came to Vancouver 3 years in a row, and I went all 3 times in a row. The first time was a headline show by themselves, and with some local bands, but headliner by themselves. The second time was a co-headline with Arch Enemy and Trivium, and then the third time, this is the interesting one. The third time, anyway, so the Trivium was going to be playing in a couple days, and I go online, and it turns out the singer is having a kid, so he flew home, and he got the Avatar singer and the ex-Killswitch Engage singer Howard Jones to fill in for him. So I'm like, cool, I never get to see these all-star kind of, one-off shows. So it turns out the Vancouver show lined up a couple days after he left. So I was so pumped because I'm like, I've already seen Trivium lots with the original lineup, and now I'm going to get this special one-off all-star show where you got the Avatar singer is going to come out and do some songs. Howard Jones is going to come out and do some songs. The YouTube guitar player came out and was playing guitar. Jared Dine. So I was so around. I was like, oh, cool. I get this cool kind of all-star guest show. Cool. So I went down to the show and watched it. It was awesome. Had a fun time. But I was lucky enough to see Trivium three years in a row, and then COVID hit and ruined that streak.
Yeah. COVID did run a lot of things. But, next band I'm going to talk about is a band I've all liked. I've liked them a lot for a while. But when this album dropped, I fell in love with them. And now they're one of my favorite bands, is Whitechapel The Valley. Did you hear it, Steve? Frederick? Whitechapel The Valley. Just when that album dropped, it just, man, from beginning to end, that album just whips. It don't let go. It's beautifully written. It beautifully lyrically. Phil Osomo, or not Phil Osomo, Phil Bozeman, if I can speak correctly, just fully shows off his range. I mean, they kind of got to the point, after their self-titled, they were kind of like, to me, they were kind of starting to get to the point they've ran their course. I thought after the self-title, I thought like the Saw is the Law album, and then one, what is it? I can't think of it. I thought they've kind of done their thing.
I like Mark of the Blade. Mark of the Blade's awesome. I got that.
I mean, yeah, it ain't bad, but I mean, it ain't the Valley. It ain't the Valley to me, at least. I just was starting to get, but yeah, that album just is amazing, hands down to me. All right, that was my two.
Okay.
Yeah, the Valley's good. I don't own it, so I can't really. Well, I've listened to it probably 5-10 times in my life, so maybe about 5 times. So I'm not like I don't know enough to speak off by heart right now. But hey, Whitechapel, I dig Whitechapel. Whitechapel's Whitechapel. They're all good. They're all great. They're all consistent. Other than I don't really dig the newest one, but it's not really Whitechapel conversation. Not really a Whitechapel video. So maybe we'll save that for a Whitechapel video on someone's channel or something. But it's cool. Everyone's busy, so maybe I'll just keep going. But I guess it would be my turn. And you guys are going to do a sneak preview of what I'm going to show next. We got her. She's actually right behind me there. You guys can see. I don't know if you're familiar with that album there, the Metal Queen. That's actually not my favorite Lee Aaron. I kind of skimmed through both today just to kind of see which one actually is my favorite Lee Aaron. And surprisingly enough, my favorite Lee Aaron is actually the first one from it originally came out in 1982. And it got re-released, a year later, a couple of years after with a different cover. But she originally, all the songs did get recorded and released in 1982. So I'm going to say this is the original Lee Aaron from 1982. And I just like it slightly a little bit more than Metal Queen, even though I guess, Metal Queen would probably be a little bit more heavier in that sense. But I actually much prefer this one. Her vocals are much cleaner and much like higher and much fresh and young. Obviously she was younger, but she was just very young and clean and just very not raw, but like a raw, clean and happy and like, oh, I'm recording my first album, and just like that whole that whole thing, youthfulness and just like everything I get out with her voice on this one. The second one, she knew the heavy metal thing was coming in and popular, and her register got a little bit like she purposely tried to sound a little bit more tougher and more metals, but I just slightly prefer this one just because she is so like she sounds so youthful and young, and her vocals are just so clean right at the time. But so I just really love this one for those kind of reasons. But yeah, good old Lee Aaron. I think everyone would know Lee Aaron at this point. So
yeah, I do know Lee Aaron, but the album I knew was Metal Queen, the debut.
Well, this is the debut. This one.
Oh, okay, but with a different cover.
Yeah, it originally came out in 1982, and I don't know, they didn't have good distribution. Like it just got released in Canada, and then they picked up big distribution like a year later, and then released it all around the world. And then, funny enough, Metal Queen came out the same year, so people were confused. But yeah, Metal Queen was 84, and then this got re-released kind of worldwide around 83, 84. So people weren't sure. Even this is the first one though.
Yeah, but she went a bit more hard rock after that, didn't she? little bit more
Yeah,
hard rock,
this
more
one is,
commercial.
like for 1982. This is heavy. This was heavy metal for 1982. If you think about what was going on with the new wave of British heavy metal, it wasn't like new wave that it wasn't like that, but it was like a traditional heavy metal for 1982. And then when 84 comes along, the heavy metal boom had hit, and they kind of got. I think there were different guitar players and different lineup changes, so they kind of beefed it up a bit. But I just like her voice, how clean and youthful it is on that first one.
Oh, cool. Yeah,
Uh,
I haven't got any of her stuff, but I want to get the Metal Queen debut for sure, because I think
yeah,
that's a classic album. I think
yeah, and everyone knows the cover, like things like that. That's why I put it up. People will see it in the background, but
yeah, I think it was recently reissued. I think that was reissued. I think last year, that album. But
okay, I'm not sure.
reissued.
I'm lucky. Me being in Canada, she's Canadian. These records are all over Canada, so I was able to get all three records at cheap prices, essentially. So I was able to get them all cheap. I'd say you can get them all cheap, but you being in Australia, shipping and add it all on to that. But hey, check around Discogs, eBay. You might be able to get some of the Lee Aarons cheap.
Yeah. But if you want to get probably the reissue will probably be cheaper than getting the original, because sometimes
Like I always wanted the Lee Aaron, like before I started buying vinyl, I just wanted them in CD, and they were actually really hard to get on CD. I couldn't get them on CD. So when I started buying the vinyl, I'm like, oh sweet, I can get the Lee Aarons. The Lee Aarons are way cheaper on vinyl than CD, surprisingly enough.
So how would you describe Lee Aaron? Would you say she's like a cross between Pat Benatar and meets Betsy, or in that sort of style, vocal wise? Or
she it's gonna sound bad, but I don't mean to, but like she's very poppy and melodic. Right? She's not like her voice is kind of pop and melodic, but she kind of has that classic rock kind of thing. Like the Headpin Singer kind of was like had that kind of rocky edge. Like she has an edge to her, so people know that okay, well she's not pop, like she's clearly rock, but she is kind of melodic and AOR and hard rock. So things like that.
So kind of like Flirt.
Sorry.
So kind of like her voice is kind of like Heart.
Right. Yeah. Right. It's very sweet. Right. It's very sweet and youthful and light. Right. She's not like aggressive. Like if my mom or my grandma heard her singing, they wouldn't be like, "Oh, what is this?" Right. Like you know what I mean? It's like she sings respectable. Right. Like that anyone would, like a grandmother that would be fine listening to her music.
Oh yeah. So she's like she'll be radio friendly. She's radio friendly.
Yeah, like there's nothing aggressive or meaner about her. So that's why I'd say like she is like a pop metal, pop hard rock. You know what I mean? Yeah. And cool. For me, saying something's poppy is not bad. You said it to someone else, you're like, oh, what the hell? I'm throwing this away.
Yeah.
It just means it's catchy and melodic, and and she knows how to choruses and catchy choruses and things like that, right?
Yeah. Oh, cool.
And that was just the one, so we'll show another one. So, obviously, with Exciter was going to be on my Canadian list, and so is Razor. But much like Exciter, I had to figure out, okay, well, I'm going to show my favorite Exciter. So, which is my favorite Exciter? This is much like Razor. I was like, okay, I'm going to show Razor, but which Razor? Which I want to show my favorite Razor. I actually had a really tough time because even right now, I don't know which my favorite Razor is. This afternoon, I had it in between Shotgun Justice, Violent Restitution, or Executioner's Song. Just for today or whatever, I'm choosing Executioner's Song, 1985.
I love that album. Yeah, that's a great album.
I think it's 85. Yes, because Evil Invaders is I think 84 or something like that. Anyway, I think this is 85 Executioner song. So it's I do like I love Shotgun Justice where it's like it's almost like crossover, like the vocal style is very crossover, kind of like that Nuclear Assault kind of just relentless kind of vocal pattern, just like kind of almost like not rapping, but just he's just firing out the words nonstop to match the music. It's just like very almost crossover. And this one, the vocals can be a little weak at times. There's some songs where the vocals aren't that great, but in terms of like the thrashiness and kind of uniqueness of the sound and everything that's going on, I did choose this one this time. But yeah, Razor, an underground cult, iconic thrash band. If once you start listening to thrash and Metallica, Slayer, and you go through your Overkill and Destruction and Creator, once you get outside your Big Ten, your top, the Big Ten, you start discovering the Razors and the second tier kind of second grouping. So that's where Razor would fall in. Once you get outside the popular Big Four, Big Six, Big Eight, you go into the Razor and the more kind of raw stuff, right?
Yeah.
So that's where Razor falls in.
Yeah. Razor did have some sort of cheesy songs as well on some of their albums. Like I think they had a song about cheese, I think, on one of their albums.
This one there's no goofy stuff.
But later on they had some goofy stuff on their records. But it wasn't cheese for cheese. They were just having fun. They weren't trying to be taking things seriously.
I think their big like popular album is Violent Restitution for whatever reason. I don't know in terms of sales. I think that's their biggest selling one. So that's like if someone were to talk about Razor online, you're probably going to hear most people's favorites is Violent Restitution for whatever reason. And I know I came across a thing where he was saying that when he put out Custom Killing, it wasn't as brutal, wasn't as fast, and people were let down, and people were saying that the band is washed up. So then he's like, so he was reading all this stuff. Even back in '87, he was reading what people were saying about about Custom Killing. So he's like, I was reading all these people talking trash and saying I sold out and saying this and that. So then he's like, on Violent Restitution, I just wanted to kick people's asses. I just wanted to the most nutsest, fastest, craziest shit.
Yeah. Well, I don't think Razor ever did really a bad album, to be honest. I think every album that they released from the beginning right up to they quit the scene was all good. There wasn't. It's like Gravedigger. They never released a bad album except for the Digger album.
No, hell, I love that album. I actually really do love that album.
I think Razor were great. I love every album. I've got all their albums. I've got their debut, which was reissued again with extra tracks, and I just love Razor, and I'm glad that they're releasing a new album soon. So.
Right, yeah, that's interesting. That does come out this year.
With the original vocalist Sheepdog is back in as vocalist, I believe. So I'm looking forward to hearing some Razor.
And especially, Custom Killing is the only album I haven't been able to get.
Jamie froze.
Jamie, please put your hands up, Jamie. Jamie, I am a robot.
So looks like Jamie froze there for a bit. So I will. I'll do my two. and hopefully Jamie will get back on again. So the two bands I want to show are also from Australia. And the first band I want to show is a band called Hellbringer. And this is their third album, Awakening of the Abyss. And this is sort of black thrash.
Oh, interesting.
So if you like bands like Slayer, this one has a very Slayer sounding vibe to it. They're a three-piece band. So if you can see. So yeah, if you love bands that are speed metal in the vein of Slayer, this one has a very Hell Awaits vibe to it.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, this is just a great band out of Canberra, which is close to Sydney, Australia. So check it out, Hellbringer. This was released through High Roller Records, so I think a lot of people will know this band if you're into your black thrash speed metal. So this is probably a well-known band. The next band I want to show is also a band out of Sydney, and they're a Black and Death and Roll, and their band is called Bastardizer. And this is their Enforcer of Evil record. So yeah, this is just a typical black thrash, in the vein of Hellripper and Wraith and all those Bewitcher.
Yeah.
But with that roll sound, which is getting quite popular in the black and thrash and roll. So yeah, this band here, I got them signed to a label, so I was pretty pleased. And the label was Heavy Forces back in the day. So I got this band signed.
Did you say you got them signed?
Yes.
What's the story behind that?
Well, when I was on Facebook and I saw this band called Bastardizer, I ordered their demo CDs, and I thought this band needs to be signed. So I emailed the guy from Heavy Forces Record, and I told him there's a band here in Australia that I think you need to really sign, and so I gave him their email to the label, and he wrote me back and he said, "Yeah, I like it. I'm going to sign them." So he signed the band, and they released this is their second album, but they did the first album. So
how many albums do they have now?
Well, this is their second. They've done a split EP with Wraith from the USA, and I'm sure that they're going to record another album this year. But with COVID and all that sort of shit happening around, things could sort of because a lot of bands. What was that, Clint?
I was just wondering what was taking Jamie.
It's probably something wrong with his connection. I think he'll be back. So yeah.
Think about it. So they have 2 CDs. I'll give you my address, and you can get me copies of the CDs and send them to Texas.
Yeah, I got their demos, which is like a 3-track demo, which is very raw, but it was very well done. So I said I have to get this band, to a label, because and Heavy Forces was a label that was dealing with sort of the black thrash and thrash metal, and I thought, yeah.
Are they a local label from Australia?
No, Heavy Forces is a label from Germany.
Oh, okay.
So I got in contact with the guy from Heavy Forces, because I used to do orderings from his label, his records, and I think, yeah, this band needs to be signed. So I wrote to him. I said, I know this is a band from Australia. You know, I'm mates with the lead singer. You need to definitely check this band out. You need to sign them. So he got in contact with the band, and yeah, he said he wrote me back. He said I signed that band for you. He really liked the music.
You know the band personally, then?
I know them on Facebook. I was supposed to go to a concert a couple of years ago, and you know, because they were touring, but I couldn't go. So I would love to see them live. Hopefully, when live shows are, you know, get more better without restrictions, I'd love to see this band live. Yeah.
Yeah, because like I was saying, you know, that band should give you at least one of free of everything. Like if each one of those shirts, you're the one that got them somewhere, so they should.
Yeah, but I didn't do it for, you know, for that sort of thing. I just wanted to help the band, you know, get a bigger audience. So, you know, so I'm happy that they did get signed, and
Yeah.
So, well, it looks like Jamie won't be coming back. I think something's wrong with his connection.
Internet, yeah.
Yeah, I think so. We'll just do the do your next two, and I'll do my next two, and then we'll
Wrap things up.
wrap things up. Yeah, because I'm not sure if Jamie will come back on again. So
All right. For my last two, it normally is Disarm the Descent by Killswitch Engage. It's a Return to Form. Do what?
Oh yeah.
Hey Jamie.
Welcome back.
My internet went down. Sorry.
Hey, how many people are watching? Frederick, how many people are watching?
None.
None? Man, I was going to say, you know, if we had at least a couple of people, give Jamie a hand for coming back.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I'll just show Jamie the two albums, Clint, before you start.
Okay. Cool. Sounds good.
I was just telling Clint about a band out of Australia called Hellbringer. You might know them. They're a pretty big band. They're signed to High Roller Records, and they're a blackened thrash metal band out of Sydney.
I like the sounds of that.
And this band has a very Hell Awaits vibe to it.
Oh.
So if you listen to Hell Awaits, this is a exact copy of Hell Awaits in sound wise.
Yeah, Jamie. He's going to send me a bundle of what he's showing right now. He's going to send the bundle to Texas.
A bundle of YouTube links, probably best.
And I was just showing this band here called Bastardizer.
Bastardizer. I've heard of them.
Yeah, and I was just telling Clint I got this band signed to record their first record. This is their second one. So this is this one's called Enforcer of Evil. So you can tell by the cover's got the Sydney Opera House and the Sydney Harbour Bridge. Very it's almost like an album cover that looks like Mortal Sin's debut album with the monster on the cover. And you've got the bridge, sort of thing. Basically, got
the Mayhemic Destruction.
Yeah.
Not really.
But it's close. But it's got the Opera House and the Sydney Harbour Bridge there. But instead of the monster standing up there, you've got the demon. Sitting on the chair.
Another Baphomet type demon.
Yeah. So yeah, this is a great album. If you haven't heard this album, check it out. If you love your blackened thrash and roll.
Oh.
It has a vibe like think of Venom meets Motorhead meets Bewitcher. So yeah, Bastardizer. Check him out.
Yeah, I think I have that. I think I have like a digital copy on my computer. I don't know if that specific album, but I've definitely heard of.
You might have their debut album.
Yeah, I've heard of Bastardizer. I heard of that.
Yeah, they're a great band.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you were talking before you got cut off about Razor.
Yeah. We were pretty well done with the Razor, so yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so Clint, your last two.
My last two, like I was saying right before, is The Sound of Descent by Killswitch Engage.
Oh yeah, awesome.
I had a tough time choosing between, Alive or Just Breathing or that one. Personally, they're like even just about, but Disarmed of Descent just is a little bit more faster on some stuff, and it was a good comeback for Jesse. And if you don't know, Jesse is one of my biggest influences, like period. It was just a good welcome back for him to being into the fold of the band, and it's just lyrically, I was showing my grandma some of Jesse's words, like the song Always, and they had an acoustic version, and she actually liked it. I showed my grandma the acoustic version of their song Always, and she was like, wow, that guy has a good singing voice. And, just incredible album, hands down. And my last CD is that album. I know everybody in their mind probably knows this album, The Sound of Perseverance by Death.
Yeah, awesome.
Is my last one I'm showing today. This album right here just is everything that, everything, that brought me to making music, to death metal, to thrash metal, the melodic death metal. This band they did it all, and rest in peace, Chuck. And, it's just an incredible album and a good representation of what American metal is or was. All right, that's my 10. I hope y'all enjoyed, guys.
Well, that's a great album. I love Death, and it's a shame that Chuck did pass away, because I would have loved to know what he would have done with Death in in the 2000s, like right up to this year. What sort of direction he would have gone to, so if it would have been more technical, or would he have gone back to his sort of more thrashy early style?
My opinion, like what I kind of think, because he was kind of doing it, what was the band that he did after Death that they only did the one album?
Control the Night.
I think he'd have done some clean. I think they could have gone more proggy and a little more clean vocals maybe on Death. Because he was kind of exploring that with that album, And if Death Reunited, I think it would have kind of gone all over. It'd have its fast stuff, it'd have its slower stuff. I think he would have lyrically, on that album too. I need to get it. But, lyrically, I think he would have kind of gotten deeper too.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. That's what I think.
Yeah, I remember when Chuck joined Slaughter back in the day. I think if he stuck with Slaughter from Canada, you might know this, Jamie.
He was in Slaughter?
Yes. He recorded a couple of demos with the band Slaughter.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, I think if he would have stuck with Slaughter, I think Slaughter would have been a bigger band as well.
Yeah, I love that. I love just that ripping guitar, that ripping kind of progressive guitar tone that's on Sound of Perseverance. Fuck, that's such a spot on guitar tone. Oh man.
Yeah.
It sounds like just like this ripping guitar tone.
And I still need to get it. I know they re-released it a couple of years ago. It was only available on vinyl, but it was Chuck's first band that he was in named Mantis.
Mantis,
yeah. That was like from like the early '80s, I want to say. I've heard it's really like just straight up like thrash. I still want to get it. It's kind of gone up in price now. I should have got it when it was cheap.
Yeah, that was with Cam Lee was in that band as well in Mantis.
Yeah,
Cam Lee and that's a good demo. It's raw. But the other good demo by Death was the death metal demo that they done as well. So
that's my 10. That's my 10. I hope y'all enjoyed, and thank you again, Frederick, for having me on.
No, that's cool. All good, Clint. Yep. I want to get you back on again as well. So I want to do another sort of thing that I've got planned. I was talking to Jamie about, which I'll explain later on after I've done my last two.
All right.
So, Jamie?
Yeah, cool. So I'm going to throw people for a bit of a loop. We're going to go to punk rock. Clint, we were pre-chatting a couple hours ago about this, but and he guessed one of the bands that I was going to be doing, but
shit.
But yeah, just people very popular. Maybe some metalheads might know those band, but I'm going to show Sum 41. And probably one of my more favorite Sum 41 albums is one of their newer ones, 13 Voices. Yeah, 13 Voices. And yeah, this album is like very upbeat. There's even like some metal influences on this album, like guitar solos and kind of good structured songs, good heavy guitar tone. Yeah, it's kind of like a hard rock, punk rock kind of album. This album's actually really awesome. Yeah, really awesome.
Yeah, I thought they were too kind of poppy for me.
Yeah, you'd be surprised in this later album. He actually was listening to a lot of heavy metal at the time, and there's a lot of like guitar solos and like hard rock and kind of like metal influences, even though it's like punk rock based. But it's very like fast and aggressive for punk rock or for pop punk. But this album's awesome. It really is great. It's one of their newer ones from 2016. And you'd think that like the band would just get like progressively softer and more, poppy and softer, but they actually did the opposite, where the earlier stuff, or maybe not earlier, but their mid stuff, when they made it big, they started getting poppy, pop punk, and everyone they had the hit songs, and they kind of got back together 4 or 5 years later and put out this album. And this album's a banger, an absolute banger. Just very fast stuff. There is a slow song near. They had a hit song called "War," which there's war going on right now, so that song's really touching right now. But other than that, man, goddamn, I'm dead again. Fake my own death. Breaking the chain. There will be blood. 13 Voices. God Save Us All. Like this is a full-on rockin' album here. I wouldn't choose it if it wasn't. So,
and then the album, the singer, instead of having his signature blonde hair, didn't he dye his hair black?
It was still blonde. Like on the picture on the back, it's still blonde. You could actually, you could see kind of vaguely right there. It's blonde, but he was just. They were really jazzed up for that album. They're just like we're going all rock here. We're putting guitar solos on here. Like we're putting our metal influences in here. They were good. And I know Frederick doesn't like this band. I have no idea why he can't get on board with it. But this band is super popular around around these roots around here, around my province specifically, because this band is from this province in BC. But I'm going to be showing Unleash the Archers.
Okay, yep, I do know them.
And, yeah.
Jamie, you weren't going to represent the biggest Canadian band of all time? No Nickelback?
Oh yeah, I forgot to show my Nickelback albums. Oops. I think I only have one Nickelback album that when I was with a girlfriend, she left it in my CD the CD case on your car. So I have a Nickelback album with no case, just the CD. Hopefully my ex never watches this because she'll know that I stole it, or not stole it, but it was an accident, right? Anyway, you break up. Sometimes you get stuff and lose stuff and whatever. Anyway, anyway, so I do have a Nickelback without the case for that purpose. But anyway, we got Unleashed Archers here, and this is the newest Unleashed Archers. Unleashed Archers, I think, have 5 albums. I have 3 of them, so I could have chosen between 3. But this album's just super catchy, melodic, power metal, technical power metal, guitar virtuoso, kind of a mix of all that stuff. Like there's like that has that guitar virtuoso type sound and
musically they're heavy too.
Yeah, and but it's traditional heavy metal. I feel like traditional heavy metal.
Cheesy.
Like a lot of the themes would be fantasy, so it would go into that fantasy power route lyrically and song style. But the guitarists are like shredders, like guitar virtuoso type guys. So they're, you got dueling solo. You got usually 2 solos on every song, like it's that kind of stuff. And if nobody knows, it's female fronted. And this girl she trained in opera, so she doesn't sing in opera, but she has the chops where she can hit vocal octaves that other girls dream about. Like girls wish they could hit the octave notes that she can hit. So she's super talented. The band is uber talented. It's heavy metal. It's kind of classical, traditional, power, all that kind of good stuff. And yeah, this band there's actually a band that's actually fairly popular in the United States as well. I know they do a lot of tour in the States, and they have, like, I've seen videos from the States, and I was like, they pull a decent number in the States and things like that. So they're fairly popular, but around here they're like becoming they're like gods around these parts. Everyone around here loves this band. Nobody would talk shit about this band. Like those elitist type bands, like elitist type guys, they're all into this band. Like it's that true heavy metal, like, all those elite black metal, death metal guys. They all like this. They all like Unleashed Archers. They all go to the shows. They all don't talk trash about this band. They're like, it's like true metal. So these guys are super big around here.
Okay, because I've heard a couple of tracks from that band, but what I heard, I'm on the fence at the moment on that band, because I do like my power metal, but I like my power metal a little bit more aggressive.
It's cool that the lead singer is very hot. Like, she's got great looks, so that doesn't hurt either. No. But again, if I were to just hear the music and not know what she looks like she is a phenomenal singer. So that has to come through.
I have no qualms of her vocal talent. She has a great vocal talent. Yeah,
and my friend Charles and his band Benevolence, they just got to open up for him a couple months ago. I was supposed to go see him, but my friend's band's shout out to them. Got to open up for him a couple months ago. And another band or singer, I'm surprised you didn't bring up being from Canada, Jamie. All jokes aside, this guy I know is the God of Canada. I know y'all worship him like they worship Jesus in the States. Is David Hasselhoff?
Yes, the old Knight Rider.
Yeah.
Didn't he actually put out a metal album recently or something like that?
Yes, actually, he did. He did a metal album. Yes.
And is he? I didn't. Isn't he? I thought he was German and he's Canadian.
No, he's very big in Germany. Very big in Germany.
Oh, right.
Wait,
Yeah,
is he German
yeah.
or is he Canadian? I thought he was Canadian. My bad.
No, I think he's Canadian or American. One of those two. But he did release a metal album.
I think he is Canadian. He ain't American.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah. So, Jamie, is that album cheesy? Any cheese on that album, or is it just all good solid tracks?
The vocal melodies and things like that might appear like that, like say upon like your first listen. I'd say go back and you like your more raw stuff, so how the way that works with bands. The first 2 or 3 albums are super raw, and then they get a little bit more polished, right? So it's much like this, where the first 3 albums are super raw, and then they got the big record label deal and kind of polished it up a bit.
Yeah.
But you would really like what the hell is it called? The Time After Time or Time Stands Still. You would really like this album. This album is a mix of raw and polished. You would really like this album, The Time Stands Still.
I have seen that album. Yes.
This would be the one I'd say you check out. This one's awesome. Like it's very like heavy and fast and kind of like a speed power.
Yeah. I was surprised you didn't show some other Canadian band. I was surprised you didn't show Infernal Majesty.
Yeah, I was going to bring up. I know the big 3 back in Canada back in the day was Exciter, Razor, and Sacrifice.
Yes, you did bring out some Sacrifice. I was hoping
I don't know any Sacrifice, so I couldn't bust out the Sacrifice. Although they would definitely be a worthy mention along with Infernal Majesty. And there was another band that they still play show. I've seen Aggression a few times live, but Aggression put out an album, Full Treatment, I think it was called, Aggression, in 1987, I think.
Yeah. You didn't show any blasphemy?
Sorry?
You didn't show any blasphemy from Canada?
Blasphemy. Yeah, black metal.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I don't have any of that. I'm not super into that.
I mean, this shit. We could do a part 2 of this, talking about bands from our countries.
Oh,
Save some bands for like then.
There's well, that might come up later on in the year. Might do a part 2. And I want to try and get some other people from other countries, like from the UK or from Germany, involved. So,
I was making a joke with Clint. I was like, for the next one, we could adopt a country and then do that one. Like, oh, okay, I'll pick UK. Someone could pick Germany. Someone could pick Sweden, and we can adopt a country and pretend and do that.
Yeah.
You heard how bad my Swedish accent is.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. Good thing we didn't get Clint to pretend he was Swedish, because that wouldn't have worked very good.
And German. He didn't speak German on his Facebook page. Yeah, that's something that we could do. Pick a country that's not our own. Pick up
adopt a country for a couple hours.
Yeah, we could do that. Yeah, there's so many avenues that we could do with this. Okay, so I guess.
I'm sure some people are kind of like thinking, "Oh, you never mentioned Annihilator." Yeah. Obviously, those first 2 Annihilators are great, but I don't really follow Annihilator much after that. They get a little goofy for me at times.
Yeah. Well, they were like Anvil with the goofiness, and Razor with the goofiness as well. So there were those bands that had that goofiness, So.
Like here in the States, we got like Anthrax, got goofy.
Yeah. Their early stuff had some goofy tracks, but later on, they went more serious after that. So when you get older, you sort of change your your style and your your thinking.
Mhm.
We can't be 20 years old anymore. We're maturing. The world is changing. We're looking at what's happening in the world and in our lives. So yeah.
Maybe so you're going to take it away, I know, and then we'll probably finish off the show. Maybe I'll just quickly show some honorable mentions that I wanted to show, but I couldn't really get into 10. And
Yeah.
I did really want to show. This is like an old school, like a hardcore crossover band from This is No Mind from 1986. No, 1988 rather. Sorry. And I really love this album. It's like full on speed punk. Like it's like speed core, speed hardcore. So this album's really awesome. If someone wants to check out something different, they're sick of like the old school thrash bands. Okay, I've heard of all those thrash bands, and you kind of want to switch it up to some kind of speed core. Yeah, definitely check it out. This is awesome, old school Canadian fucking speed core.
I love the cover art. The cover art is cool.
Yeah, the cover is pretty cool, and the music matches.
Yeah,
That's No Mind. No Mind, yeah, made in Canada. I'll just rip through these really quickly. And obviously, everyone's heard of Billy Talent, but I really love this Billy Talent Dead Silence album, my favorite Billy Talent. And these ones are kind of just rock music, right? And then pretty sure the Rival Sons were Canadian, aren't they? I was going to look that up. I wasn't actually trying to.
Yeah.
And then there was the Trews. The Trews are a big Canadian radio rock band, but I love the Trews. They're like becoming like a folk heroes around Canada. So I would have loved to get the Trews in there, but that's that. I'm done.
Okay. No. Oh yeah, that's cool. That No Mind actually is something that I would really like to have a listen to. Yeah.
Yeah, it's No Mind. You can find the full albums on YouTube, so you can listen to the whole thing on YouTube.
Cool. And I look something like that. I would like. So I do like my hardcore. I do like my old school hardcore with that thrashy sound and speed metal sound in there.
Yeah, like I'm not gonna lie to you, it's not like crossover thrash that way. It's more of just like fast, aggressive punk hardcore. So it's like that speed core.
Would you say it would be like DRI, like the early DRI sort of sound, or Cro-Mags, or Agnostic Front's early style?
I guess it could be like DRI. Also, DRI kind of had like a crossover tone.
Oh, later on, but the early stuff was more hardcore.
I'm not even familiar with that first. I'm not even familiar with the first DRI, really, the Dirty Rotten LP. I'm not even really familiar with that too much.
Okay, no, yeah, it's really sharp, short, sharp, and raw. Sort of hardcore punk, very short songs.
Yeah. It's in that realm, but it's just good. It's spot on. Like if I'm gonna listen to punk hardcore, that's exactly how I like it. Exactly like that. I want it to be fast, speedy, aggressive, and then the vocal style are kind of like that 80s hardcore kind of thing. But,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll do my final two records. Also from Australia. I'll start off with this one. A band called Wartooth. I have shown this on other previous videos. This is a two-brother band. They recorded this album in 2020. Sadly, this band is no longer active. They called it quits this year. I think due to to COVID. Because for touring and all that. So. But this year they did add 2 new members to the band, which was cool. But then the sort of COVID happened. They sort of they broke up and they only released this one album, which is called Programmed Ectoctomy. So is
that the shirt you're wearing too?
That's the shirt, yeah. So this is traditional thrash metal. In the vein of Metallica, Slayer, Megadeth, Testament.
Interesting.
And yeah, I do have the CD, and the CD they do a cover of "Slave to the Grind," but it's not on the vinyl version. And it's actually a great cover. It's thrashy, you know. So it's just great, some great thrash metal from Australia. You can't go wrong. Sadly, that they did break up because that they could have got bigger, you know. But with COVID, that sort of ended their run. But hopefully that they will come back in the future when this COVID shit sorts of gets everybody back to regular sort of thing.
To me, that logo looks so nice, so like mid-90s. The logo.
Early 80s.
Yeah, well,
it looks so mid-90s.
Yeah, that's where their roots are. You know, it's sort of the early thrash. You know, which is I loved my early thrash metal bands, but done in the modern way. And the last band I have shown this album before. There's a band called Alkira. And
Cool.
The album is called Clotus. It's very hard to. That's the album title there. Very hard to read. But this is their second album, and this is just really fast-paced, raw, heavy thrash speed metal. Vocals are a bit harsh. Vocals. I love the art. The artwork is brilliant on this album. You know, half robot and half human. So,
yeah, that's great. That's awesome cover. Is it female fronted?
No,
No.
all male fronted. So yeah, it's just four guys, you know, just thrashing it out. So this is like they have an EP out, which is available. So, but this is their second release, and it's just great thrash. You know, hopefully, I would love to see this band get signed to a major label like Metal Blade, because you know, they're a band that needs to be signed to a major label. So yeah, that's my 10 Aussie. You know, look at honourable mentions. You know, we have Harlot. You know, from a band called Harlot that you need to check out. Who are signed to Metal Blade Records. You know, there's some really great Aussie old school speed metal like Taramis.
Is Teremy Australian?
Yeah, Taramis are Australian. Hobbs Angel of Death, check out as well. Another great band, sadly no longer, you know, due to Peter Hobbs passing away. So yeah, if you love your metal, check out these bands from other countries, because you know you'll be surprised if you don't give it a go. You might like it, you might not like it. You know, it's just whatever your tastes are. And yeah, that's it for my 10 and some honorable mentions. So
yeah, it's cool that you mentioned that. Teremy is. I have the second Teremy album, but I want to get the first one. So that first one's becoming like a grail for me. I want to. So I'm gonna like fork out some like $30-40 or something like $30, $40, $50. Get that first Teremy album here pretty soon.
Yeah. Well, you know, it should be reissued. I think Metal Blade should reissue it, because they're doing, you know, a lot of the old school reissues. I think it's a band that should be reissued on vinyl.
I think it's called Queen of Thieves. I think it was called Queen of Thieves. Yeah, Queen of Thieves.
Yeah, that's got a great cover.
I have Product of Imagination, but I want to get that Queen of Thieves.
Yeah. So yeah, well, some news that I'm going to bring up is next month we're going to do a live stream. We're going to pick an album, and Jamie did pick an album that we're going to have a look at, and that is Entombed Left Hand Path. So we're all going to dissect that album. So hopefully we'll get one more member in, in this discussion. And so then when we do that album, we're each going to pick the next album. I'll pick the next album after we review that album, and then the next person will pick then up review, and so on. So we're going to do a retrospective of an album. So that will be next month. And I want to also do another one after album covers, the good, the bad, and the art. So we look at record covers which are good, which are bad, and which you would put up on your wall as a piece of art. So there are a couple of streams that I have planned. So yeah, and hopefully I'll get some more views and people come into the stream. So yeah, do check it out in the next couple of months. So I want to keep this stuff going, and also please subscribe to Metal Connection, JDub, myself, Thrash will be Thrashed, and I don't think Clint has a YouTube channel. Do you, Clint?
Not yet. Like, no.
So yeah, so do check us out. Check out our content. Check out JDub's previous videos. He does a lot of great reviews and content on his videos. I do my videos which are raw, uncut, uncensored. So yeah, do check us out. And I want to thank you guys for jumping on today. It was supposed to be done yesterday, but things happen and we get our communications mixed up. But it's all good. And I thank Jamie for coming on today, and Clint. And and everybody stay safe, stay well, and keep on thrashing. Until next time. Bye for now.
Yeah, metal peace.